Hi YouTube, we're back with the Airbus A380, and we had one of these bogeys break on us. Was able to land it without incident. Didn't even lose our landing gear door. And so what I need to do is I need to get this reattached. So we're going to start with the easiest part, which is going to be to just align these two where they broke off. And when that's done, then we'll go ahead and stick it on there. And then we'll glue this last, because that'll be the easiest order, I think, to do this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get whatever wire we intend to use. We're going to probably use this size wire, but I'll use this to actually melt the holes. Okay. Double check you don't have anything to catch on fire above. Heat that up. Stab it in. Okay. Now this we don't want to go too deep because we don't want to have issues inside there. Okay. Clean the tip off. Alright, so now what we have to do is, now that we have that melted plastic there, it's going to make for a really crappy joint, so we got to trim that down, get that out of there. You could use a drill if you wanted to avoid that step. But I found it's always easier to just melt at the size of the product that you're going to be using to hold things together. Don't do that. Dang it. So anyway, we'll just spin this knife around in there and get that cleaned up. And then we've got to stick these two back together and see if they fit. Oops, gotta get them the right way though. Yep, that'll work right there. Okay, cool. Be right back. Okay, so now we've got to get a little bit of wire cut now that we know that all that fits. And the wire that we're going to use is going to be the same exact dimension as the one that we just melted with. So we want to go probably just a little bit shorter than you anticipate it would have been, and then just double check before you put it together. So you get decent penetration. Remember, this wire just helps with alignment. That's really all you're doing. It's not going to actually provide a terribly lot of strength here. Yep, so that'll keep it aligned. And this is kind of a tough call because there's a variety of different ways you could glue this together. CA is probably going to be a safe bet. Epoxy would be better for long term, but to be honest with you, these landing gear are probably going to get a little wear and tear. So I think I'm going to just go with just your run-of-the-mill CA. And what I want to try to do is I want to try to get it around this whole surface, and then I want to make sure that I get CA up into the actual little sub-assembly. Okay. And then you can just kind of get a little bit more on there. And as you know, this paint will very likely run. Hey, look at that. I kind of missed the paint there. That's surprising. Didn't realize I was so far off on that. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do a couple drips of CA or kicker. Make sure you get the correct direction here, and then just dive it in there. And ready to rock and roll, guys. It's pretty easy. The only trouble is I'd like to do a little bit more CA to protect that joint, but it's so close to the pivot point on this bottom part here. So if I do, I'm concerned I'll run into a problem. And I'd like to keep it beautiful, of course. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'll just be careful. And I'll just go ahead and put CA along the outside, like this, which is going to hopefully weep down into that crack too. And then I'm going to take and just do a dip of kicker. I'm just going to go right on top of the glue, right on the glue, right on the glue. And then I'm just going to let it sit for a second. And I'm going to count to probably 3 or 4 in my head, and I'm going to just touch it. Yep, just make sure there's no extra kicker. And then I'm going to rotate it. This one will be a little harder reach with this simulated knee joint there. So we'll just kind of get a little bit of glue in there. And then a little bit of glue from this angle too. And we'll just come back in with some kicker as well. Right on the joint. We don't want to spray this whole area. That paint will just go everywhere. Actually, I don't know how this paint would respond, because this is Rust-Oleum paint. That did really good in that accident there. That's pretty cool. I'm happy with that. Okay, so now we want to put away the non-foam safe variety, which incidentally, in case you're wondering, real men glue their wounds shut with CA. Just kidding, guys. Okay, so we're going to heat up and do the exact same thing, except on the plane first, probably. Get that nice and toasty. Find a spot where you can do it that you can be pretty sure you're going to hit the same spot, okay? And I've done this before on a number of different planes and aircraft. It's usually a pretty effective tool. Now you can also just let that sit in there. But the trouble with doing that is that you'll end up with basically a weakened piece of metal. And because you've hardened it and not cooled it in the right order, or whatever it is that you have to do for metallurgy, I can't say it right. This time I'm not going to stab myself. I've committed to not doing it. It never really hurts when you stab yourself with an X-Acto knife, but it's annoying because it's a deep enough cut that it bleeds. And it's deep enough that every time you get in the shower for the next week, you'll notice it, which just drives me nuts. That one's going to be a little trickier to get off, so what I'm going to do is I'll use a drill bit. And the drill bit will just kind of hopefully bite into that loose stuff and take it off quick. And then the rest I got with my fingernail. Okay, yeah, we should be good. Now this one we won't be able to probably have such an easy time with. I'm a little bit nervous about doing this in the plane. So what I might do is I might try to heat up this metal again. This is actually a different piece of metal, but I got a bend in it. Okay, so I'm just going to heat that up, and I'm going to let it stay in there. And I'm going to let it cool for a second. I'm going to try to pull this thing out. It may not work. We're just going to let that sit. Because I think we're going to have an easier time pulling this out, gluing it over here at our station, and then sticking the nose gear back in, or the bogey back in, and we can put some glue here. Okay, if it's going to stay, it's going to stay now. Dang it. Alright, so the alternative choice is find a small screw and do it. Or just glue it in place there. That may have been a slightly smaller piece. Okay, I know, guys, this is maybe not the best idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. We're just going to go for a little bit of CA excitement here. Do I have any CA in there? Yes. You can put these things in acetone and clean off the tips like periodically. I'm not real good about doing it, but evidently it's very effective, and they'll just clean down to the plastic. So okay, now I want this to just be just a touch thicker. We're going to melt that or heat it, and that just burns off some of the CA, and then we'll have a little bit more thickness. Okay, that's not going to work. I'm going to my backup plan, which actually is quite easy too. I'll come right back. Okay, so I've decided I'm just going to do it over there because I don't want to mess around with it anymore. So first things first, we'll take this. We'll go ahead and get it embedded down into the landing gear. So I'm going to use this pair of pliers to just see if how far I can get it in. Okay, then I probably do need to trim just a little bit off of there. Now if you want this to really be a firm bite when you insert it, you can take and just bend it just ever so slightly. You'd be amazed how much that'll make a big difference. Whoa, that came out way too fast. Since I got a ton of it here, I'll just bring some of it over here to this. That was crazy how quick that came out. I'm actually better about that amount of CA is correct. I just didn't necessarily want it that exact moment in time. And speaking of, I'll probably go ahead and take a little bit off. But I'm going to use a Q-tip. It's easier. The Q-tip, a little more controllable. Just rotate the Q-tip, pull it out. Okay, I got to get back to work or it's going to set up on its own. Okay, so just working that all the way in. Okay, now I'm going to get some CA over this. Kind of wake up that last little drip. We're not even worried about this. Okay, not yet. We will eventually. Just double checking on the knee joint, which we're going the right direction for that. And you better believe it, it's probably going to get a little glue on the gear door portion. That's fine. I'm not really too worried about it. As long as it's not compromising our bond there, I think we'll be okay. Then we're going to take our just a little bit of kicker and get that down in there. Okay, so it's holding in position now. I just want to look at it from the angle here. Okay, so now this can be resituated to get it to fall down where we need it quite easily. And we will go ahead and have the kicker available because we'll need that here in a minute. We'll go to a foam safe CA this time. Squeeze the bottle. If the air moves, then you should be good. I'm going to stick it here so it doesn't get knocked over and spill. I'm going to rotate it, and then I'm just going to go back and forth a little bit with the glue. Lay that to the side. And we're going to work quick. Kicker was applied in the middle to avoid getting it on the paint. Just a little bit of stuff seeped out there. Now we can take this bottle and we'll dip down in, just go along each edge. And to be perfectly honest with you, that's probably all you have to do. I'm going to go ahead and go around the edge a little bit again. So guys, we got the maidens up. Got them in the can. I don't know if they're going to be published necessarily today. I suspect at least one will. But this has been a heck of a project, man, but it's good. It's good. We really like the way it flew. This was kind of a fluke. So I'd say it's at best it's just a bit of a nuance, the fact that we had a landing gear issue on this. I'm not expecting it to be a normal thing. So if you guys have an opportunity to get one of these and you don't mind putting a little bit of time in to make it look scale, it's a great plane. Now, if you didn't care if it looked scale, then it's a really easy plane for you, because it already, I mean, it's an airplane. It just doesn't look like an Airbus A380. So I really appreciate you guys being part of this experience. Come back for more. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check the link below. Help support our channel. Stuff you're going to buy, just buy it there instead. Okay? So that's better. I think we're good. Thanks for watching, guys.